Hey everybody, welcome to my video on real and nominal interest rates. This is for an intro level course, and as you know, if we're talking about real and nominal interest rates, that probably means we're also talking about inflation. So let me start by writing out a couple of variables. We're going to have a nominal interest rate, and we're going to call that I. We're going to have a real interest rate, which we call R, and we're going to have inflation, which we call pi. Now, if you've been taking micro, then you know that pi used to be profit. I'm not sure why microeconomists took pi for profit and macroeconomists took pi for inflation, but they both took pi, and I'm just going to have you deal with it. So in this video, pi means inflation. And here's the relationship for real and nominal interest rates. The nominal interest rate is equal to the real interest rate plus inflation. And I could rewrite that as real interest rate is equal to the nominal interest rate minus inflation. Those are both the same equation. Now, what is that telling us? Let's start with this one. I think it's easier to start with. The real interest rate, the actual payments on borrowed money, are equal to the specified amount of interest minus inflation. This might be easier if we imagine a situation with some guy named Bob, and Bob goes to the bank to meet with Sally. And Sally's an awesome banker, and Sally's going to help Bob buy a house. And so Sally is going to lend Bob money, and let's say there's a 5% interest rate on this loan. And Bob gets happy because now he can buy his house. And for the next 30 years, he's going to be paying money back with interest. During those 30 years, though, prices are not going to stay constant. The United States government, for instance, targets a 2% inflation rate, which means that over those 30 years, the dollars that he pays back, the same amount every month, will be worth progressively less and less. And so that 5% interest rate kind of overstates how hard this loan is because the future payments aren't going to be as much. His real interest rate, if the government sticks to its 2% target, is 5 minus 2 is 3%. The reason it's lower than the nominal interest rate is because inflation takes away some of that cost of borrowing the money, because the dollars you give back aren't worth as much as the dollars you borrowed. Now we could do a different example. Say the government changes its target to 4%, then the real interest rate would be 5 minus 4 would be 1%. Wow, if that were the case, then a nominal interest rate of 5% would be even better. Here's the thing though, guys. Bankers know that this is happening. Bankers know that there's inflation, and they know that the inflation takes away from their future payments. So what's more likely to happen? Chances are your banker is going to have some sort of target interest rate. They'll say, we want to have a 2% interest. We want to have a 3% interest rate. And we expect inflation to be 2%. If that were the case, then they would choose a nominal interest rate, 3 plus 2, that's the interest rate plus pi, is 5%. And if they thought that inflation was going to be 4%, then they would set their interest rate to 7%. They're going to target it. Like, they know this happens. Now, we can still step aside, though, because sometimes things don't go the way we plan. What if, for instance, we signed on where everyone was planning on a 2% inflation rate and the bank wanting their 3% real interest rate set a nominal rate of 5. But then, as soon as the loan passes, the government changes its target to 4%. Oh, like we did a minute ago, R equals 5 minus 4 is 1%. Who benefits from this unexpected high inflation? Bob does. Bob, as a borrower, is happy when inflation goes up. Why? Because it means that the money he pays back to Sally is less than what they initially planned on. The real value of those dollars goes down, so his real interest rate falls. Sally, on the other hand, not happy, because she thought she was going to get a 3% real interest rate and only got a 1%. Now, we can do the exact same kind of arguments in reverse. What if the government lowered its inflation target to 0, for instance? Well, then R equals 5 minus 0 equals 5%. Well, that would make Sally very happy, because Bob locked in thinking he was going to pay 3%, but now he has to pay a real value of 5%. It would make Bob sad. So it all depends on who's doing the lending and who's doing the borrowing. This inflation relationship between nominal and real interest rates matters. Now, if we know what inflation is going to be, then the nominal interest rate will just track with inflation, and the real interest rate will be steady. But if we're wrong about the inflation rate, well, that means that the real interest rate is going to be changing, because the nominal interest rate won't respond enough. So I hope this was helpful to you, and maybe even a little bit interesting. That'd be cool. But if not, too bad. Thanks for watching, guys. Good luck and happy